conference or something.
Yeah. No, I need to get one that doesn't have it's a bad material. So I have another one that's actually going to be coming in pretty soon. So what happened to you this morning? Sherry's sick?
Yeah, she's not feeling good, and there's a lot to do in the morning, so I figured I'd give her the morning off and get the dogs out, get everyone up and ready up for school, and take care of it a little bit.
Good deal. Barbara, are you there?
I am here.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Barbara, you got how many acquisitions in the last 7 days?
Well, maybe only one in the last 7 days. Morris Street was the week before.
Was it? Oh, yeah.
Morris Street was the week before. We got the one in Lynn.
Yeah. There was another one, wasn't there? Or am I losing track of it?
I think there's just the one in East Boston and the one in Lynn.
Cool.
But Morris Street was really, I think I got it signed after last Tuesday. Like I had him on the phone, but I had to go back with the paperwork. It might have been Monday night, though. That was definitely the week before.
Okay. Can we talk about the one in Lynn?
Yeah, let's talk about the one in Lynn.
All right, good deal. So that one came in how long ago?
Let's see. It's recent. Like this was the first go around. Merle Francis. I'm trying to pull his file up, but it won't open on the computer. Mm-hmm. It came in. Let me get coordinated here. And I'll tell you when I met with him. I want to say it was Friday or Thursday. Where's Merle? So Nicole put it on my calendar, I think. Mm-hmm. Met with him on Friday.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem right. Because I signed him on Friday. I met with him, I think, on Wednesday. So it's on my calendar. I go out there, I meet the guy, and the offer was supposed to be about 200. I go to the house, and so there's the guy. He lives there alone. He's 80 some years old, 85, 88, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's a single family house. Mm-hmm. But it's supposed to be a 2-family house. And there's only one kitchen, and I don't think there are 2 baths. Anyway, I met with him. He showed me the place. He's somewhat recently widowed. I think he said last summer or, within the last year, his wife had died.
How long did he live there for?
He's owned it since 1968. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they didn't live there. They lived there years ago, him, I think, and his first wife, and then he lived wherever. He told us, so I got his whole life story, right? He lived there with his first wife. She died young, obviously, and then he remarried this woman from Minnesota, which is, he had told me his wife was from Minnesota, but then I thought, like, his accent wasn't right. He was actually originally from Minnesota. Moved to Boston when he was young. Was married, bought this house in Lynn when he was, a young man. Lost his first wife, married a woman from Minnesota, and moved to I don't know where. So they've had the house as a rental for many years while they were living, I think, in Texas. Mm-hmm. So his wife died within the last year or so, and he came back. And he said to me then, because, with his wife being from Minnesota, I wasn't sure if he was going to go back. He said, no, this is my home. So then I started to think, I don't know, because he was saying, like, this is my home, and this is where he always was. And that's when I started to get the story about the previous wife and everything like that. So looked at the house, which is a pretty good house. And, that took some time, and we sat down and just started talking about the pricing. And I went through it a couple of times because it's supposed to be a 2-family, but it's really not. So I was like, I don't know. If I do make it a 2-family, what does that look like? You got to put in a whole new kitchen. It's not a light renovation. There are no stairs from the back.
Mm-hmm.
There's a door on the second floor, so you can go out from the second floor, but there's nowhere to go. It
And
goes
he
out
was
onto
representing the whole time, though, that it was a two-family.
yes, and the public record says a 2, and the CMA had it as a 2.
Yeah.
So I sat down and started to go over price with him, and then I went back upstairs. I said, look, let me just go back up because I wanted to see if you could really make it into a 2. And I went up, and he stayed down because bad knees and whatever. He's an older guy, and we had already been up and to the cellar. So I went back upstairs and tried to figure out, like, can you really make this into a 2-bedroom unit on the second floor?
Mm-hmm.
And once I figured that, I said, okay. And I don't know if you'll end up really doing that or not, but it can be done. And it's
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do either. I actually have no idea. I don't know if we're going to close on it, resell it, close on it, renovate it as a single family, try to turn it into a 2. I don't know.
It's almost 50-50, because
Yeah.
as a 2-bedroom, as a 2 unit, it's going to be 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Not great, but so the upside was huge driveway.
Yeah.
Like he's got a big panel truck in there. You could put easily four like real cars in there. I'm not talking Volkswagens. Like big driveway, yard out back. Furnaces are, it has 1 furnace but 2 electrical.
Yep.
Because it's been a single family like the whole time he owned it.
Which is when? How long has he been there for?
50 years.
Okay. And so did you say that he doesn't currently live there, or you're still unsure?
He is living there.
Okay.
He came back when his wife died.
Okay.
And he is living in the house.
And before that, he was renting it as a single family?
They rented it as, I guess, as a single family. I mean, there's only 1 kitchen.
Yeah, right.
So,
So
yes.
there's no way they could have 2 people in there. So he came back from Minnesota what year? Last year?
Texas he was living, but yeah, he came back this year.
Okay, he came back this year.
Like maybe in June or July when his wife had died.
Okay, so he's living in this building. Where is he going to go next?
I think he's moving in with his son.
Which is local or somewhere else?
Which is local, because when I went back on Friday, the son was there as well.
Yep.
So, but he still needs time. The place is full of stuff. So that was kind of, honestly, I didn't think I was going to make that deal because when I sat down with him to talk about it, he seemed to have, I mean, they rented it for years. He had a good idea about value and whatnot. And I said to him, unless you're going to sell it if you want to sell it for about 200.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of expected him to say no. And he was like, well, I could consider that. And I was really surprised. I thought it might end up being retail because he is living there. And as a single, it's a turnkey house. Anybody could move in there. It's spacious. It's not like the stairs aren't all crooked like some places. You go in and it's just like, oh, so much work for anybody.
And
but this is a house that would be financeable as a single easily.
And as a single, let's say that it was to be listed on the MLS today, what do you think? What would the list price be?
If I were listing it, I would probably put it out either at $289 or $299.
Okay.
And expect it to go up. Although,
Okay.
It's December, the market's lagging a little, but because of the driveway and the kitchen, while it's not new and updated, it's large, it's like nicely functional. On the second floor, you've got 2 bedrooms plus an open living area.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be nice as a single for a family to buy it, or anybody with any kind of in-law situation, just because of the way it's set up.
Mm-hmm.
For, shared living, it would be good.
Yep.
I think anybody could buy that, like somebody, like myself, maybe 15 years ago with a couple of kids or whatever, would buy it and say, all right, or a guy could buy it and live downstairs and make the second apartment while you're living there. Because you could live just on the first floor and easily be doing renovation upstairs, then get a tenant in there.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the condition as of right now?
It's a 7.
So easily financeable, probably could just sell as is. So what was his motivation to sell to an investor? What was his primary motivation, in your opinion?
I'm kind of guessing because he didn't say, and I think he just wanted the simplicity.
Yep. And did he ever talk about listing it? Was there any listing conversation?
Not really, no. We never really even get into that. I thought I might go there, like if we were haggling on price and we couldn't do it, I would have said to him, of course, well, listen, I could no problem get you 275 here or more, but I never get in. I never got there. I never, because when I never go there until every other possibility is exhausted. Unless I go into a place like yesterday, I went to one in Lynn, and I knew as soon as I got in the door, it's not the one I showed you, the big, huge house, $500,000 they paid in Lynn.
Yeah, that was built, what was that, 2005 build?
Well, they bought it in 05. I think it was built in 91.
Yeah, but that was like 91 around here is definitely...
It's brand new. And it looks new. Like, there's no wear and tear on that house. But something like that, going in, it's not a purchase. But for the most part, I don't get into the whole either-or thing, as you know. So the listing never came up. It still has never come up. It never was a conversation. What could I get on the open market? So
when you said 200, he said he would think about it. Did we get that? Was that a one-shot signing, or was that multiple steps? I can't even remember.
No, he said he would consider it, but he really wanted more, and so I haggled with him, and we were talking about like 220. Basically, I was trying to get him to sign right then. He told me that he owed 120.
Okay.
And so, I could tell he would consider, but he wasn't excited about the 200. And he really wanted more. And when he told me what he owed, and then the number became 220, I said, and I said, well, I was trying to get that. Will you sign today? What if it's 220? We'll sign you right now. You're going to clear the 100, which I don't know. I mean, there's taxes. It'd be a little shy of that in reality.
Yep.
And he wanted to think about it. He said, well, I have to crunch some numbers. And like I said, so I went for it a couple of times. He said, I really need time to crunch my numbers. So this guy, like I said, he's like 88 years old. I'm not going to pressure him.
Yeah.
There are different people, different personalities. When a guy's 88 years old and he says, I need a couple of days to crunch my numbers and see if this works for me, I said, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you a call. We'll talk on. He says I need until Friday. This was Wednesday at like 5:00 in the afternoon, and he wanted till Friday. So I said, okay, we'll talk on Friday, and I talked with you about it. Obviously, the pricing. He was really at 220, and I called, door knocked him actually. For Friday morning at like 9:30. He wasn't at home. And later in the day, he called me. And I set up. So he called me Friday. We agreed to the price. And I set a time to meet with him Saturday at 3:30. 3:34, I had a lot of things booked on Saturday, and I said I would, I'll come by the house tomorrow. We'll sign the contracts. So Saturday, I had the most nightmare day on Saturday. Just crisis right across the board. Everything was crisis. Everything was chaos. My GPS just it's endless. I totally forgot about the guy.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back from all kinds of whatever, and the phone rings, and I'm driving, and it's him.
Yep.
It's more. I was like, oh my God! So thank God he called me because he was expecting me.
Yep.
And in reality, it was like 3:45, and I had told him 3:34, so I wasn't exactly MIA, but he was looking for me, and I like to think I would have known anyway, because as soon as I got back to Salem, which is where I was headed, I would have immediately, the first thing I do when I pull in anywhere is check, what's next on my calendar, what's come in an email while I was driving. So I would have seen that. But he called, and I was like, oh my God, I said I'd be there at 3:30. I'm on my way, blah, blah, blah. So he wasn't phased at all, because I was just wound right up because of everything that was going on. Anyway, I went over there. Then his son was there when I got there. So that made me a little nervous, because I get there and his son is there. The The guy opens the door, introduces himself, and he comes down. Then Merle comes down. He says, "This is my son." I said, "Well, yeah, I would have guessed that because, he looked just like him." And we went in and we sat down at the table, and I had the contract, and we talked about it, and we talked about the price, and I pitched him, for a lower price because you and I had talked about that, and I said I was going to try to bring that back down, maybe 210, at least 215 if I could get him back down, because originally we were at 2. And you and I had looked at the comps, and like you say now, you're like, you don't know, I don't know what I'm going to do with this place.
Yeah.
So I asked him, and I told him, I said, listen, there was a conversation I had with him the first day I was there. I said to him, when I was at the 200 and he wanted more, I said, Merle, I got to tell you that sometimes when I really like a place, or I really like the person, or it just feels good, like the house has good energy and it feels right. I said, sometimes I get a little, I let that color my judgment, and I maybe offer a little more than I should.
Yeah.
Because I like it and I like you. And that's a fact. I can get emotionally attached to a place. I've been there a long time. The guy was just so nice, and I'm like, I want him to be happy, and I have his whole life story. So I'm, so I have to be careful about that. And but I told him that on Wednesday. I said, I get a little excited when I really like a place, and his dogs are playing with me. And I said, sometimes I overoffer. So he already knew that. So Friday when I sat down, I said to him, I said, look, remember this conversation when I told you when I like somebody or I like the house?
Yep.
And I told him, I said, the boss wasn't really happy that I went over the top of this price. And, do you think maybe we could split the difference and you could come back to 210? So he didn't look too happy. And I said, I don't know if I said or even 215. I might have left it at 210. Or he wasn't really going for that. I said even 215, and he said, well, I have to think about it. I said, so then he wanted to go through the contract. So I said, you think about it, and I had to go through the contract the whole thing, which I usually don't.
How often does that happen?
Almost never.
Yeah.
I went through. I said, this paragraph means, and I gave him what I call the cliff notes of the contract. Go through the 6 pages, and I hand it over to them, and the son is there, and he starts reading it. And he's reading every word. He reads the whole thing, and he gives the page to his father. Now the father's reading it. So this takes a while, and I'm sitting. So this is where you really got to be disciplined, because I'm sitting and nothing. I don't do anything. I don't talk. I don't fidget. I just sit and let them read, which takes 10 minutes, which is an eternity when you're just sitting there, right? So I sit there through the whole thing, and they're happy with the contract, and I give him the pen, and he's going to sign, and I say, well, we have to put the price in. What about the price? And he's really I can tell by his face he wants to say no, and the son jumps in and says, go ahead, give it to her. So that
doesn't happen too often.
No kidding, right?
Yeah. The second decision maker is almost always going the opposite way for whatever reason.
So the son was totally on my side, wants to help me out so that the boss isn't mad at me, and so I got it at 215.
Yep.
So I'm happy about that. It's better than the 220. It's still not, where we started, but and that's the story of Merle Francis.
Nice. And so when is that closing?
February 1st. He wanted time. He has his life possessions are in there.
Yep. And this is something we always hit on. It's very rare that, we always say, cash offer, closing 10 days, 14 days, 30 days. It's pretty rare that anybody ever takes us up on that. Although we did have one that is going to be closing. One of the only ones I've ever closed in 10 days. We were going to close in 10 days, and it was also a 2-family, and we're now finding out that it might be a single. So we have to go through a zoning determination to ensure that it is a 2-family, similar to this one that you're talking about, except I think the one that you're talking about is unlikely to be a single. This one
It isn't. And I did ask him about that again, and he said to me, he said, I have asked the city of Lynn many times over the years to make this a single, and they don't.
Interesting.
So-
I've never really heard too many people want to go the opposite way. What was the purpose of getting it to a single? To be a lower assessment?
Probably, and because it is a single.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go in there physically, and I assume to pay lower taxes, and because it's just, he said, but there are 2 electricals, and they just didn't want to do it.
Makes sense. So what do
So-
you think was the number one determining factor of him really wanting an investment deal? I know you said you were not 100% sure, but your feeling was it was just they wanted simplicity? Did they give
Yeah,
you,
I really
did they give
think
you-
like he wanted. It's not. I mean, I don't know that he needs a lot of money.
Mhm.
He does owe money on the house, but I think he just wanted to make a deal and not, and then that's it. Make a decision, and he can do what he wants to do.
Yep.
Like I said, we never even talked about showing it, but I think if I had brought that up, like I say, it never came up, so I'd only be guessing. I think he just wanted something that he could have on his terms. You know, the money is good enough. He can have the time, because I talked about closing maybe mid-January at first. I didn't really know what he wanted, you know, as far as getting out of there. But he wanted more time. I said, listen, even if you want to go, you know, we could go to March 1st. And he said, no, February is good. So I think he wanted the time and it's just a no pressure. It was a very no pressure situation. I think he didn't want to be arguing. I can imagine if somebody come in and then they said, well, I want you, he certainly doesn't want to do any work to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, so
like
I think
said, he's late 80s. He doesn't want to do work in the house or be annoyed.
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. Like, why do people sell to investors? Why would anybody ever take a discount? And there's a lot of different like motivating factors that kind of scream out at you where you're like, wow, that really, really makes sense for somebody to take an investment deal, to take a discount. But in a lot of cases, and I would say actually probably more than 50% of them, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's not like this overwhelming, like, I'm going to lose the house or like anything like that, right? I mean,
No, I think it really is the convenience for, yeah, at least half. And sometimes it's, you know, inspection issues.
Mhm.
You know, the house will be difficult to finance. They know it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
Sometimes it's that.
Yeah.
But a lot of time it really is, they just don't want the dog and pony show.
Yep.
They just want an offer that they feel is fair and freedom to take their time. And honestly, I said, the house is full of stuff and he's going to go through. I said, listen, just take your important sentimental things.
Mhm.
And I mean, he moved. There's a huge truck out in the driveway that he drove up here from Texas with like probably everything he owns. And then they loaded it all in the house. For all I know, the truck is still full of stuff.
Mm.
And maybe, what's he going to do with it? You know, where's he going to, like, he just doesn't want to deal with all of that. That's my real feeling.
Yeah, and he's already been through a lot of different life changes. The wife passed away, the move from Texas to here. So it's like one more kind of stress factor. The age, I'm sure, played a factor on it. You know,
And I'm sure he also had like some health conditions. He didn't get into it, but there was like a vague mention of you know, I mean, it was snowing, and he was talking about how some neighbors had shoveled him out in previous years or whatever, because again, he's an older guy in a big driveway, and it's still a good neighborhood, and people do that kind of thing there. And I said, that's good. Although I said, you know, you look like you'd be shoveling as well as them, because even though he was old, he seemed very fit.
Yeah.
But still, you know, probably shouldn't be shoveling and going up and down icy stairs. He definitely was having issue with the stairs.
Yeah.
So that was part of it too. You know, it's a 2-story place, plus there's the cellar. There are pretty good stairs in front of the building, and so I'm sure that's a piece of it.
All right, let me just see. Hold on for 1 second. Want to see if I can bring Kathryn in. Kathryn, can you hear us? Kathryn, are you there?
I'm here.
Cool. Do you have video that you can turn on?
I'm
Or are you dialed in? Did you call on the phone or are you at a computer?
I'm on my phone.
You're on your phone. Okay. There should be, let me see if I can do something real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you the host.
Hold on.
Are you on like an iPhone?
Android.
An Android. There should be a button there that will allow you now to turn on the video. Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hi.
Were you trying to hide from us?
Well, you found my weak spot. I'm not a huge fan of video at this point. So
Why not?
I will-
What do you mean?
I will
What do you
hide
mean
from
at this point? You used to be a big video person and did something
No.
happen?
Okay.
I've never gotten there. I will
Yeah.
hide from the camera.
All right. Well, Eric's scared of the camera too, but he jumps on every week.
Let's see. Oh, hi, Eric.
Hello.
Don't
You'll get
sound
used to it,
excited
don't worry.
talk to him.
I may turn it off.
You may turn what off. Just
How's everybody doing?
good. We're doing good. We want to hear about your deal, your 4-family or 3-family and a single over in Worcester that you put under contract. And was that your second appointment? What number appointment was that for you?
I went on one appointment
One appointment?
there.
Oh
Right.
no. So
Oh.
like the number of appointments that you've been on since you started with us, is this the
Oh.
second appointment or
Yeah.
is
Yep, that was my second appointment.
okay. So
I
tell
got-
us what was that?
I got lucky.
You got lucky. Well, sometimes you
that.
get I mean, I will say this, there's obviously some element of it that has a little bit to do with luck. Like there are some that the Tony goes on and, I say to myself, there's no way this guy should be closing this. And, he goes out there, he doesn't do much and then he gets a contract. So
Okay.
it does happen when, you get lucky sometimes, but more often than not, luck doesn't repeat itself. So if you're 1 for 2, that's pretty good.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about how that went. Like you showed up, who was there, what was going on, what was the condition of the property, all types of stuff like that.
Okay. This is a 4-family in the deep of Worcester. It's a 3-family plus a 1-family cottage. And
Yep.
the one family cottage is occupied by tenants, Section 8, who want to stay. The
Yep.
3-family was vacant.
Mhm.
It had been on the market at $285 and had been under contract. It fell apart. Those buyers had wanted the 3-family vacant. The tenants left it pretty trashed.
Yep.
The buyer pulled out. So the property had expired.
When did it expire?
Early November.
So
like
it was
right
was it-
before I got it.
okay, cool. So been on the market at 285. So it's vacant now. So the property became vacant in like 2 weeks time.
I'm not sure. Sometime between the time it went, had been under PNS and the time the buyer pulled out.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure what that timeline was.
Do you have any indication as to what the price was that they were under contract at? Did they tell you?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So they had been listed, it fell under contract. What happened with the listing agent that was listing the property before? Did the contract lapse or what was the deal with that?
It expired.
Okay. The contract expired and then,
Yep.
so I can't remember exactly, but I think this was one where they just went on our website and filled out a form.
Yeah.
Okay. So they went on our website, filled out a form. You went out there. Who'd you meet with?
I met the property manager.
Okay.
And
That can always be tricky because you're not meeting with somebody who's a decision maker.
exactly. And
Did they
he had-
tell you that the property manager was going to be the one meeting you, or did the seller tell you just to go there and then, you showed up?
No, they told me ahead of time. I
Okay.
think they had scheduled with Barbara, I'm pretty sure. And then
Yeah, that would be true.
she had put a note in that the property manager would be there at the appointment.
Okay, good deal.
And he brought 2 employees with him. So there were 3 of them and me.
Mhm.
I called him to confirm the day before, no problem. Got there and he was really aloof, but the other 2 guys were just really sweet. They opened doors for me and it, showed me the whole place. It was really nice.
Mhm.
So, and when that was done, I said to the property manager, I'll give the owners a call because I didn't want to get into it with him.
Yeah.
Off he went. He was like, okay, great. I think he was relieved. He didn't want to get in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I called the owner and said, we went back and forth a little bit because I wasn't quite sure what to do and I was waiting to hear from you too. So
Yeah. Well, that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
a 3-family with a single is a little bit different. And the other thing that's kind of unique about, the Worcester area in general is that if a property is like a true gut rehab, it's almost not worth anything because
yeah,
it could take, $200,000. If it's a real true gut rehab of a 3-family, it could be a couple $100,000 just to get it rent ready. And then you need to buy the property for $50,000 to make it even worthwhile.
yeah.
So what we were trying to determine, and that's why we had our property manager go out there, was, is this a true gut rehab, or can we, do, some work, but not, get, have to rip everything out.
Yeah.
So what he had determined was that there were some heating systems that were 100% needed to be updated.
Yes.
And yeah, but the condition of the property wasn't bad enough so that we would have to gut it. And I mean, what was your take on the condition when you saw it initially?
It was okay for that age of a home in that location.
Yeah.
The windows had been updated. There had been some siding put on. The roof seemed okay. The basement was old, dirt floor type of thing, but it seemed like a solid house. So some flooring needs to be updated, kitchens and baths.
So when you were talking to the owner, did you get any indication? I mean, what was the main motivation for him to sell?
He had a couple of properties, and this one was his biggest headache.
Okay.
He was just tired of it.
Did he have other properties in Worcester or other properties in other cities? Do you have any idea as to the background of that?
It sounds like he has a couple of them around the state.
Okay.
Boston, Worcester. I'm not sure if he's out as far as Springfield.
Mm-hmm. So,
Boston. So.
Yeah, so we definitely buy properties from tired landlords all the time.
Yeah.
And the thing about having multifamilies is, like, if you have 1 or 2 of them, they can be a big headache because a lot of times you don't have the ability to hire a property manager yet. So you're dealing with all the hassle, headache, aggravation. Worcester obviously is an area where, even if you get, you screen properly, you're still going to have issues with tenants. I mean, you have issues with tenants. It doesn't matter what city you're in, but obviously the lower end cities tend to have a little bit more problems. So when you gave him, do you remember what our initial offer was?
$190.
Okay. And how did he respond to that?
He said it was too low. He came back, said he wanted to walk away with, I want to say, gosh, what did he tell me? 220.
Okay. He wanted 220. Our offer was 190. And then what did we end up buying it for?
199.
199.
Yep.
So what was the negotiations like there? Was it difficult? Was it simple? Was it straightforward? Anything crazy happen?
No, it was pretty easy. It took a couple of phone calls, but it was me saying, look, this is a cash offer. There'll be no home inspection, no more repairs that you need to make. You don't have to do a thing except do the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. And and that'll be it. Well, he wanted to close really quickly.
What did he want for a closing date initially?
He wanted mid-December,
Mid-December. And what do we end up settling on?
December 28th.
Okay. So effectively, it was a 30-day close.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I talked, when Barbara was on, we talked about, most sellers not wanting a quick close because most of the properties that we buy are actually occupied by the seller. This one obviously was not occupied by the seller. He's got a property just sitting there. The 3-family sitting there vacant. And then the 3-family sitting there vacant. He's paying taxes on it, all that good stuff. So for him, I mean, he just wanted to dump it as quickly as possible. Did he give you any pushback on the time frame at all?
He just asked why, because I had said up front we could probably close in a couple weeks. And when I came back and said, looks like end of December, he wanted to know why. And I said, just we have some due diligence to do. And
what was the reason? I don't even remember why. Did I just ask if we could do end of the month? I don't even remember what ended up happening.
Yeah, you didn't really give me any reason.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Realistically, if that was like a deal killer, we probably could have closed on it sooner. The difference for us is like if in 2 weeks, that means we really truly have to close on it cash. So we can't like pull a line of credit or anything like that. So I think it was just, usually when 30 days, we can get a line of credit. When we close cash, typically we refi out after the fact. So it's basically just a closing cost thing. It ends up costing us a few $1,000s to close and then pull the money back out. So I think that was just the biggest thing. But yeah, if it ever comes down to it where that would have been a deal breaker, we can probably do it. So you got the contract. Now, you never met with him, right?
No.
And you did everything. Was it DocuSign? How was everything signed?
Dropbox or dot loop, sorry. Yep.
Okay, dot loop. And then he got an attorney involved?
Yes, because I sent over the purchase and sale agreement, and he said, well, I want to have my attorney look at this.
Yep.
So
Did they end up making any changes?
Nothing huge.
Yeah. So, we found that, Don will attest to this. Attorneys like to make changes just to make themselves feel good. So, they never make anything significant. A lot of times, like I have to reread it like 5 times to even determine what they even changed.
Okay.
So, we use a standard purchase and sale contract. There's only a couple of modifications that we put in there. I think the one major one that we put in there is the septic, because if we had issues where we've put properties under contract that had failed septics, right, and we didn't realize there was even a septic there. There's some towns that actually in Worcester we have one. I thought Worcester was pretty much all town, and there is some septic in Worcester. So we've had cases where we put properties under contract, didn't realize it was septic, the septic failed, and then at that point we either have to back out of the deal or renegotiate or whatever. So we just like to eliminate that. But so how long was it in attorney review for?
That took about 10 days.
Yeah, it was a long time. And, some attorneys like to add, a lot more value than others. So 10 days to change 2 sentences that we probably didn't even really, and then obviously our attorney has to get involved. But at the end of the day, some sellers will not sign anything without an attorney to review it. And it's their right. We don't really care if an attorney reviews it. It's not a big deal if they review it. Okay. It's just that it's like, it always ends the same way. It just takes a lot longer. And this guy's looking to close as soon as he can. And then his attorney holds him up another 10 days. So it is what it is. How are your other appointments going? Anything cooking?
Not really. I had one that, my first appointment. Yeah. My first appointment, I went out. I didn't have a CMA yet, and I really was just kind of floundering as what to do on the investment side.
Yep.
The acquisition side. And so I went out, I looked at the place, and I scheduled a reappointment to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, I'll do a CMA and then I'll see what comes through from Brian. And then when I went back, the guy didn't answer the phone. He didn't answer my emails. He didn't answer the door. So I'm still trying to reach him.
Yep.
I'm going to mail him something and see if he'll respond. And, before I call him dead.
Cool. All right. Well, keep me posted. Let me know if you need anything else. You did very good on video. So you're natural. We'll have to ask you to come back very soon. I'm sure you'll be getting another deal very soon. So I'm gonna mute you if that's okay, and you can pull yourself off if you want.
Yeah, I gotta run.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody. How do I get out of here?
Let me see if I can pull you off. Tony, what did you do this week? Anything good?
I had 3 cancellations. That was
too.
good.
Yeah.
And then one I think is rescheduled. And yeah, Eric, what about you?
I had some cancellations myself too this past week. One in Worcester, one in no exciting. I mean, I had an appointment last night that we talked about a little bit on the group me, but
So
nothing.
you tried to use the upfront contract, right?
I did, yes.
Tell us, replicate how you pitched that.
So I went into the appointment. The owner's daughter or something, met me at the door. We walked in, sat at the kitchen table. I thanked them for having me back again. And I said, usually on a second appointment, we like to come to some kind of conclusion. If you like everything that we talk about, will you be able to give me a yes or no on whether or not we're going to list the property?
Mm-hmm.
And his immediate response was, no, we're not ready to make that decision tonight, but we just wanted to kind of confirm all of our options and get a good understanding on, what we can do.
Did you still give them my offer?
I did not. I gave your offer on the first appointment.
Oh, okay.
And so this was a follow-up appointment.
Yeah.
And he told me to tell you to go shove it, where. So it didn't really go over very well the first time around. So he's a stubborn older guy. He definitely thinks his property is worth a lot more than it truly is.
What is it worth, and what is it worth, and what does he think it's worth?
If it was to sell as is, it would probably at best case sell for maybe $450, probably closer to $4.
Mm-hmm.
He has an oversized, basically a double-sized lot for the neighborhood. He's at around 8,000. Everything else is about 3,500 to 4,000, and he perceives that additional lot to be incredibly valuable. That a developer is. It's in Roslindale.
Okay. Yep.
He thinks that a developer is going to be able to come in and subdivide and build a brand new house in the side lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the first appointment, I had really tried to tell him
Barbara,
that he's dreaming.
Have you ever heard somebody tell you that?
All the time.
All the time, right?
Every
in
single
Roslindale, I can see I'd have to look at it, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they might squeeze something in there. Somebody could get a variance. I don't know.
So that's the big thing. First of all, if anybody's saying that to you and it's like Haverhill, I mean,
Right.
you can confidently say without, you have
Right.
to put this the right way, your land isn't worth anything, right? So it's worth money in the city, closer to, actually Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if there was a potential to do it, then
Did you pull the zoning for him, Eric? Did you pull the zoning? And what's the zoning there? 5,000? Is it 5,000 square foot for a lot? Because that's what I'll pull the zoning. You can go to City of Boston. Show 'em right here. Look, your single family, your SF2 or whatever the code is, 5,000 per 2-family house. Just like really explain that to them and say, it could be, but they don't know about frontage. They don't know about variances. You got to bring in all new utilities. You start laying out this cost of what that would look like if you got permission.
Ultimately, I did do that. I actually went to the zoning board to talk to them in person about this particular case.
You have to be careful about that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you need to be careful is if it really is an acquisition, and you go there and you say this person's looking to sell, everybody on those boards knows a developer.
Right.
So I know
they are the developer.
yeah, they can be the developer.
Mhm.
Actually, the one, so I'm from Revere, and the one in Revere, I mean, that's what he does. I mean, he looks for projects. So I'm not saying this person cuts people off, but it can be done. Obviously, going after a listing is a little bit different because there's a little bit less risk, but just be aware of that.
Right. Well, it was good for me too because I got them to kind of explain what to look for as well. So moving forward, I probably don't necessarily have to go to the zoning board. I can kind of find that information online.
Yep.
But I mean, long story short, they need an 8,000 square foot lot to break up into two 6,000 square foot lots. So it's not possible without going through Board of Appeals and special permitting and all that stuff.
Yep.
So basically, I tried to prep him saying, look, your buyer pool is so tiny. If you have someone that has the ability to do this, you know, they're probably not going to. So like I said, the house is worth probably 425, 450. He's looking to get 600 for it because perceiving that someone's going to build new house next door.
Yeah. So the thing is, so basically, let's say his house is worth 425, and Rosendale, the land might be worth 175. So he's basically wanting the price that it's a guarantee that you can build on it.
Right.
So
I mean, and like I said, he's a really stubborn old guy. He almost threw me out of the house on the first appointment when I told him your offer. So I've been treading very lightly. I was able to build rapport towards the end of the first appointment. He liked me enough to call me back. So I'm trying to
in this
inform.
case, like when you know someone's got to go out on a limb to really want to do this project, probably has to overpay, something like that. What is his objection to just listing it and just seeing if there are any developers who really want that area for some reason?
So no real objection to listing it. That's kind of what the plan is that we discussed.
Yeah.
He just wasn't, he's not in great health. His wife is not in very good health at all. She's got a lot of doctor's appointments. She's on an oxygen tank. So I think they just want to kind of breeze through the holiday. Even though I tried to go for the close, he was pretty, not ready to sign the paperwork. So by the end of the appointment that I was on last night, I tried for an upfront contract again after scheduling a follow-up meeting. So I said, we can meet after the new year. That'll get you through the holidays. No headaches or anything. We've kind of come to a conclusion that we're gonna traditionally list it. He really doesn't want to do an open house, so I said we'll do the pre-marketing and see if we can generate some interest by doing that. And a part of it too is I tried to prep him that the offer is not going to come. So I said, what if we can't generate this offer for you? What if we can't get someone that's going to pay this? What are you going to do? And he pretty much told me flat out that he's not going to move if that's the case. So
yeah, so this is one, like, I think you've got to get it listed, and within the first week you're going to know, because anybody who's building in that area is going to have their eyes on it. They're going to be looking to see projects like this coming up, and they're going to act fast. Investors don't wait around like retail buyers, so they're going to be looking. They're going to see it. Either the offer's going to come or it's not. And the open house itself, I would be a little bit less concerned about, only because you're not, the person who's coming for the open house, quote unquote, isn't going to be the end buyer for this.
Right.
So the retail buyer who can't do the development piece of it is never going to pay anywhere near that.
Yeah, so I feel like we left on a pretty good foot. And one of the things I mentioned last night in the group, where I know Phil thinks I'm crazy for moving forward with this, but I've already been out there twice. I've built really good rapport with the guy. So even if we can't generate the offer, I feel like I've put enough time in that I think I will benefit with referrals in the long run. Because, I really have a good feeling that he likes me now. I've put the legwork in, and he was really concerned. He goes, what if I don't decide to sell the house? What do I owe you? And I said, you don't owe me anything. I said, I'm happy putting all this work in ahead of time. If it doesn't work for us, great. Then, just refer me out to people that you think might be, considering selling if we can't make it work for us. So work for you. And that's kind of where I was left it at. And again, with the follow-up appointment, I got him to commit to make a decision on the follow-up appointment, which is supposed to be the first week of January. So we'll go from there, I guess. I think we'll have a pretty good shot of getting it listed and hopefully be able to generate an offer for him.
Cool. Don, what about you?
I've had some good, success recently. I had an acquisition a week and a half ago.
Which one was that? Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Weymouth.
Yeah, Weymouth. How'd that one go? We got that one for a good price.
So it was interesting.
Terrible house, terrible location.
Yeah, it's a 2-family. There's tenants on the right side unit. I didn't even get to see that one. The one on the left-hand side, I think it's uninhabited. I didn't even see that. I got into the basement when I went the second time. There's no boiler. It's like, I sent you a photo. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how they were heating that one side. It's just like a homemade wood burning thing that they piped in. And there was a battery sitting on top of it. I have no idea how they heated this side, but the back is right on the water. It's beautiful, like back there. It's kind of nice location. But when I was there, I didn't think I actually had any chance of an acquisition or anything. I think our offer was $235. He didn't seem really happy with that. He said that he knew a real estate agent. So I kind of gave him the recommendation. I said, if I were listed, I'd probably list it around $3. He was just, I tried to angle it to a listing because he didn't really seem to be interested in the offer. But he said he was very adamant that he had a real estate agent that he knew. So that was kind of cut off. So I just kind of thought this was a dead appointment. And then Friday night, I had 2 closings 2 weeks ago. I was like celebrating Friday night, and this guy called me Friday night and said, "You know what? I thought about it, and I actually want to sign with you I want the acquisition, the $235 price." He was happy with. So I was like, "All right, I'll drive there right now." So I went out there Friday night and got it signed.
What time was this?
It was like 7:00 that evening. I was sitting down for some pizza. But I was like, "Sorry, honey, I gotta go. I gotta go to Quincy." He was like an hour away, but what
did she say?
She said, "Go, Don."
Please leave.
Yeah, she was.
I want to enjoy my Friday night. I want to enjoy. What made you think though that it was not an investment deal?
Just I like this. I've been starting off low, so I started with the 200,000 kind of thing, just to kind of float like his reaction. And he wasn't really into 200,000, so I said, well, what if I went up a little bit? What if I worked with you? Would you do 220? He's just like, no, I don't think we're anywhere close. I know a real estate agent, and he was talking about a price in the 3s. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I think we could probably go up to 235. There may be a little wiggle room there, but I don't think we're going to be able to go any higher than that. Yeah. So, at that point, when he started talking in the 3s, I started to push more towards a listing where, I'm talking about the advantages of listing with Cameron Real Estate Group, So I didn't think there was any chance of an acquisition at that point, just because he had told me that he was tight with a real estate agent. They were telling him he could get something in the 3s, and that's something that he expressed he was interested in getting.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So what do you think then made him call you back? And
he said he talked to his sister, and they really just wanted to be done with it. I think he just, with the status of that property maybe not being heated on the left-hand side, I'm thinking maybe he's concerned that it going through the winter, maybe pipes freezing potentially. Maybe that's his concern, is that the property will degrade over the winter while he's trying to sell it with a real estate agent.
Which is definitely a real issue. Every single winter, we have pipes freeze and burst. I mean, we've got a bunch of vacant properties. Like, for those of you who are on here who know Regina, like, that's probably an hour out of her day every day is making sure the heat's on, making sure the pipes don't burst, all that good stuff. When we first started, we had maybe 10 or 15 properties that were sitting through the winter, and we didn't have anybody to do what we call heat checks. And we had one day where like 15 houses, all the pipes burst. So it definitely happens. It's definitely, a real concern. So he was living in one side, right?
I think no. I think the left-hand side is uninhabited.
Oh,
He's
so
living-
where is he living?
I met with him that evening in Hyde Park.
Hmm.
So he's a little way away from there.
So did he have the property rented before? The
Yeah.
other side?
I think he was living there previously and isn't living there anymore. He's got the right-hand side rented currently, and now I think he just recently moved out of the left-hand side and it's uninhabited currently.
Oh, so he used to live on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's another issue where, he'd be waiting to close on the property and all that good stuff. So the person on the right-hand side, they're moving out?
I'm trying to find that. I called him. He's saying he's having a hard time communicating with the tenant.
Mhm.
So I haven't nailed that down yet, like what they're doing, like when they're getting out. That's something I got to follow up with him on.
Yeah. Okay. Keep me posted on that. So when's that going to close?
The 29th, I think. It's coming up.
Okay. So he's going to get moving on getting that person out then.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could be an extension. Hopefully it's not, but.
Yeah, I'll call him today.
Cool. What else? Anything else good?
I had a couple of closings. I'm kind of bummed. I had this deal in Dorchester. I had both sides of the deal that I put together. And this weekend, my buyer told me he doesn't think he could get financing. So I got to talk to the seller. I'm hoping I could just get it as a listing at this point. I've found 2 buyers off market for this guy, and both times the buyers have walked away.
What is it? It's a 2-family, right?
It's a 2-family.
And what is he looking for?
$460.
Okay.
It's rented out right now. He's getting the first floor. He's renting out per room. He's getting $600 per room. So and there's 3 bedrooms. So $1,800 for the first floor, and then he's renting out the second and third floor together for a total of $2,000. So he's getting like $3,800 in rents.
Cool.
But I mean, he could fix it up and get a lot more. So
Yeah. All right, good deal. Well, it's 11 o'clock, so we gotta run. Thank you guys for jumping on today.
Thank you.
I'll see you all next week.
See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye.